Take away. But now, it's a legal process. And the courts will look at all your assets, and they will determine what the value of those assets are, and then how they distribute it. Now, even though you have a will, it still has to go through probate. Now, the good thing is, I say the good thing. You know this last tax law? You know who was the president of the United States, right? Who pushed it through? I call him 45, that's all. But it's state. Now, a lot of people are concerned about estate taxes. Unless you have an estate that's over $11,400,000, you don't have to worry about paying federal estate tax. But just think, who you think that was for? Who you think that was for? Okay, and those like him. Okay, that means they won't pay any estate tax unless their estate, after they get through with it, is in excess of $11,400,000. Okay, so that's when they'll begin paying estate tax. Okay, they call it a death tax. You heard that before? Oh, it's a death tax. All right, but anyway, so if none of us have that, and I don't know if God ever blessed me to get there, then you don't have to worry about that. But that doesn't mean you don't have to pay any debts that you have. That's the estate tax. All right, but any debts that you have, you're still going to have to pay those debts. All right, and you should set things up to make sure they're taken care of. All right, now, that's where the power of a trust comes in. All right, and there are different types of trust. So let me go to, so as I read to you, let me go to information about trust. So let me deal with no, I don't want to deal with the irrevocable. Let me deal with the revocable church first, and then we can. Well, since it's up, I would prefer the revocable trust first. All right. Even though irrevocable is up, let me just read the revocable first. A revocable trust is a trust whereby provisions can be altered or canceled dependent on the grantor. During the life of the trust, income earned is distributed by the grantor, and only after death does property transfer to the beneficiaries. That's a little brief history of it, or definition of it. But let me tell you what the power of it is, and I won't go into how it's been used, but the wealthy, this is how the wealthy pass on their assets to their beneficiaries without having a will. All right. And anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. When you put things in a trust, whoever the grantor of it, that means you the person who created it is the grantor. You write how you want it set up. And you write who you want to get what in that trust, all right? And you direct it, and then you manage it. That's irrevocable. You can change it anytime you want to. You can do. You have carte blanche over it. It's when you pass away that it becomes irrevocable. That means it can't be changed anymore. Nothing be done to it. And it has to be carried out just as you have laid out in it. That's the beauty of it, all right? Now, with wills, people contest wills. All right. In trust, they can do something with the trust too, but it's a little harder. That's why it's important in a trust. As we've said, the Quran is a guide for us. Doesn't the Quran give us some ideas of how we should leave things to our relatives, our family, our spouse? It gives us guidance on it, right? It may not be exactly what you do, but it gives you guidance on. And with everyone who's listed in there, sisters, brothers, spouse, didn't say cousins. But what I'm saying is that immediate family, okay? If you don't leave anything to someone, or if you have a will, you don't use a trust, you have a will, and someone says, well, wait a minute. He said he was going to leave me that. What happened? Well, that's not here. And no, he said he was going to leave that to me. So who changed the will? I'm going to court. I'm telling you now these are the scenarios now. And it gets tied up. It gets tied up. When you go to court, there are fees. Got to get an attorney. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that little, whatever it is you were leaving them, it may not even be worth anything when they get through with it. All right? Or what they've done now is impacted, because if that happens, everything's locked up. Now, nobody gets nothing until it's resolved. Okay? That probably was not your intent. That wasn't your intent. That person you're talking about, they said you was going to leave them some, but you probably have told them, no, I ain't leaving them nothing. So if they are brothers or sisters, or particularly a spouse, now this is where a problem will come with the trust. If you have a spouse and you have children, and you don't leave them adequately provided for, now they can go to court and say, there's a problem with that trust. Whatever they's left, I can't even provide for myself for a year. Not even for a year. And they can go to court and say, and if it's so much left, they can go to court and say, that trust was not put together the right way. Because you have to leave you have to leave your spouses, you have to leave your direct descendants, your spouse and your children. You have to leave them at least taken care of. You have those resources, right? You have to leave a certain amount you have to leave for them. The law doesn't tell you how much it is, but it's obvious if it's not enough to take care of them for a year. If you have children, you should probably try to leave something for their education, for their, but you should definitely leave something for them, for these to take care of a year or two until maybe your spouse remarries or whatever, and someone else can come on and then take care of those children after that, right? But you don't want to leave them destitute. Okay, all right. So they can go to court to contest the trust, but other than that, how you want to be taken out, that's what you would do. And that's why trust is so important. And particularly irrevocable trust. Now, some of you will say, okay, I'll get to how to fund it later. Let me just read the definition of an irrevocable trust. And this is what I just said a little while ago. An irrevocable trust cannot be modified, amended, or terminated without the permission of the grantor's named beneficiary or beneficiaries. That means the people you've left to benefit from that, they're the only one can make changes in that trust. That's the irrevocable one, okay? The grantor, having transferred assets into the trust, effectively removes all their rights of ownership of the assets and the trust. Now, what does that mean? That means if you put $1,000, you put $1 million in there, if it's irrevocable, you have no more control over it. As long as it's revocable, you control it. But the only way it becomes irrevocable is that you passed away. You're gone. So you don't have to have it. But as long as you're living, you can manage it. You do what you need to do with it. Okay. This is so no one else can walk up or come out after you've passed away and make any changes, unless those that you left as the beneficiaries, they can make changes. But nobody else can. Now let me give you a brief story. I'm not going to go through the whole story. When I say the wealthy, the most notable person who passed on assets to his family was J. Paul Getty. How many people know who J. Paul Getty is? I heard of him. All right, J. Paul Getty. But I won't even go far that back. Let me just go to recent. You know the guy who's in the White House now? His father. Do you know his father passed on to him? When they found out that they were going to have to pay estate taxes on all that real estate, and what they did was he accumulated a lot of real estate. I don't know if you've listened to this, a podcast that I recommend to you, but I won't do it right now. But I listened to it. He got wealthy from building buildings. And it was during the time of when the army, the military, people were coming back from the war. And money was real cheap. And he could build, and what we do is he would build homes for these soldiers coming back from the war, all right? And and New York, all over the country. And he generated a lot of property, a lot of real estate. But when he got ill and he knew he was getting ready to maybe come about his time, right? And then they looked at it, he said, they looked at how much estate tax. This is before this last law passed, that they were going to have to pay. And like some wealthy, they don't feel the government should get a dime of what they've earned and built up. I mean, let me tell you now, this is their attitude. All right? They don't think, now who is the government? The government is all of us, right? But what they think is, this is mine. I built it, and I don't think you all should share in none of it. That's exactly their attitude. All right? So, they created trust. The only thing is, it's just not for them. You know how law works, all right? Okay, you created this, but it ain't going to be just for you, all right? But they created it. So what they did was, he created a trust in his son's name. Even though his son lied and said his dad gave him a loan and he paid it back. All right, but I won't go there. Let me just stay with this. Created a trust and started moving that real estate into the trust in his son's name. That means his son's own control the trust. He's the beneficiary of the trust, control the real estate. Son, 5, 6 years old. So whose house did his son live in? So who was controlling it? His dad. But he controlled it through a legal entity called a trust. It's legal. Nothing was illegal about it. And transferred millions of dollars of real estate into it. Now, the only problem is when they did some things that are fraudulent. Now, I don't want to go that in my presentation today. Maybe I'll do it the next time. But I'll have you all, now you may hear about it before I even talk again about this. Because the state of New York is coming for them. The state of New York is coming for the Trump family. Coming for them. I'm telling you, they're coming for them. They can't send them to jail because the time of limitations have passed. Statute of limitations have passed. But they can get them for fraud, for tax fraud, and other things. And they're coming for them. They're coming for them.
So they may close your foundation down.
That's one thing, but this is much bigger. But that's another example of using things fraudulently. All right. But let me just go back to now this legal document called a trust. All right. The blessing is any of us can use it, and you can have an attorney help you draw yours up. Find someone that you can trust to draw you one that can help you draw it up. But you need to have one, so people don't come out of the woodwork, because they will, and wind up and say, I should have a piece of that. They ain't help you build nothing. Don't even call you and say hello, but all of a sudden show up when you've passed away and say, I'm thus and such, I'm this and him, I'm who I, and I'm supposed to get a part of that. And that's what they will do. All right, that's what they will do. All right. So I would encourage all of us. We've done this to contact someone, an attorney, and draw up one. Now, most people here are like myself. We have a home. I have a home. And I asked my brother, because we were talking, doing some estate planning, and said, well, I want to make, when I pass away, the home goes to my wife, and my wife can decide what she want to. He said, no, what you need to do is create a land trust. He said, create a land trust. And I told him, I said, well, my name is on the deed, and my wife's name is, and we're going to pass it on to our son. He said, but if you create a land trust, there's no ambiguity about how it's going to pass. All right. So now, all of us got phones and stuff like that. You don't have to do it now. But just Google, what is a land trust? Because all of you who have homes or real estate, any kind of real estate, but particularly if you have a home, and you want to pass it on to whomever you want to pass it on to, that would probably be the method that you want to use. And you'll see the difference between real property and personal property. Now, these are legal terms, right? Don't expect you ought to understand that. But the lawyers understand it, and the courts understand it, all right? Real property and personal property, all right? And there is a difference, all right? So I looked it up, checked it out. I called my brother, and I asked him. He said, "Okay, I can set that document. I can set that up for you." Now, my brother's an attorney. He's going to give me the family price. I can't say he's going to give you the price. He will give me, okay? But if an attorney, if it looks like if it's too much, then ask around. But understand this. Look at how much your home costs. Does it cost? And if the cost, to make sure it's passed on to who you want to pass on in the right way, if it's 2% of that or 1% of that, isn't it worth it? Is it worth it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you, though. It's up to you. But like I say, you want to make sure that your wishes are carried out, and so that's what a land trust. So let me just read the definition of a land trust, and of course, because I Googled it, help me. Then I call my brother. What is the benefit of a land trust? The beneficiary owns a beneficial interest in the title holding trust or land trust, which is personal property rather than real property. Okay? This can be particularly important when one of the beneficiaries in a title holding trust or land trust may be prone to litigation, liens, or judgments. You know what that means, right? Litigation means suing. Okay. Now the beauty is, me and my wife, we're still loving. We've been with God willing next year, not this year. We have been together in April. We've been together 40 years. 40 years. I don't plan to go crazy, and I don't think she plans to go crazy. Okay. So I don't think we'll have a problem. What we're concerned about is that the house goes on. We told our son, because he's the one next in line. He said, well, what y'all want me to do with the house? Whatever you want to do with it. You can keep it and live in it. You can sell it. You can do whatever you want to do with it, because it'll be yours.
What if you have a mortgage on it?
Well, that's not. I'm glad she asked that. She said, what if it's a mortgage on it? Well, it's like anything. If there's a mortgage on it, you can still sell it, but you have to pay off the mortgage, because that means there's a lien holder on it, right? It has to be clear before the person will be able to get title to it. All right. So you can still put it up for sale, pay off the mortgage, and then take what's left and take it and do whatever you want to do with it. All right. And so and that's the beauty of that's the beauty of real estate. But like I told him, I said, you may want to just keep it and rent it out. A home, particularly once it's paid off, is your asset. Now, until it's paid off, it's not your asset. It's yours and the bank or whoever holds the mortgage on it. Okay, they got an interest in it. But once the mortgage is paid off, then it's totally your asset, and you can use it like you want to. You can borrow on it. There's so many things you can do with property, real property. All right, and not only that, you heard about intergenerational wealth. You can pass it on to your children. All right, and they have something they can begin, so they don't have to begin at the same space and place where you began at building wealth. Now, they decide to sell it, that's up to them. We know that, I know you probably know people too. They couldn't even pay the taxes on the property. And before you know it, the state then took it because they couldn't pay taxes. Or wouldn't pay the taxes. Didn't have the understanding the value of the property just to pay the taxes to keep it. And they lost it. All right. And this happens every day, particularly in our community. It happens every day. Every day. Building, I mean, people that are foreparents, they have spent their lives building up, got 2 or 3 pieces of property, and the children can't manage it. They can't manage for 6 months, and it's gone. And it's gone. All right. So So what we're going to do, we are going to set up a land trust, so to make sure our home is passed on the way we want to have it passed on to. When you decide when you set up your trust, your attorney, or whoever help you set up, is going to tell you how to fund it. But the way you fund it, you just transfer things into it. Your life insurance policy, you make the trust the beneficiary. You're still in control, but you so that the life insurance policy, the trust is the beneficiary of it. Any stocks and bonds, you transfer those into your trust. All right. For those who like me, I have an LLC, and I operate my business through an LLC. It's similar, so it's not too difficult for me to understand how it works. All right. My wife and I, we control the LLC, and if I pass on, she becomes the 100% owner of the LLC. I don't have to do anything but that. All right. That's how we do business. All right. So, so a trust is similar. Okay. You stay in control, so you move these things into it. But the key thing is that once you pass on, however you have it set up, that's what's going to be done. Wealthy families, you know, they're organizations. You ever heard those banks who have bank and trust in their name? There are banks and there's entities that are set up to do just that. They manage trust. They manage for wealthy. They manage for wealthy families. The Priskers, you heard the Priskers? You know what the base of their wealth is? No, the real estate. But you know what it is? What the hotel chain that they are? Hyatt. The whole Hyatt. No, the Hyatt began. So the Hyatt hotel chain, that's owned by the Prisker family. Okay, and they got a whole lot more after that. Hilton, Paris Hilton. You heard she was a trust fund baby. Paris Hilton, the Hilton, and there's a lot of them. But they have, of course, you know, they have organizations that get paid to just do that, managed trust for them. All right, and they charge a fee. But no matter what happens, when they pass on or whatever, they make sure that trust is going, the directions are going to be carried out through that trust. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, brothers and sisters, to get us just thinking in that direction. There's when I get back to part 2 of this, that's yes. Sorry.
I thought you were going to pull up the website
Oh, thank you.
for the healthcare.
Have you heard of this?
That's why
This guy, he didn't get a passcode to
Oh,
nobody.
this is
and
the
I
same
think it's
dude.
50
Ah,
million, 130 million. Isn't that nuts?
yes, yes it is.
That's $130 million because he didn't write a will.
But that's something.
And he didn't give up the passcode. I can't get the passcode, isn't it? That's something big. They can't get the passcode.
Now, they
That's
don't give him
another
up.
$53 million.
But you know what it is?
He didn't get the passcode.
You know what the simple
That's
is?
an online.
This is mine. I made it.
That's an online business.
That's right. I
So
made it,
he
and
had
I
it.
ain't sharing them with nobody. Right? If I leave him, take it all with him. Couldn't take it with him, but he didn't leave it with nobody else to take advantage of it, right? That's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame of disgrace. Yes, sir, brother, man.
I have a question.
It's a business that's worth
Kind of
$130 million.
throwing around in my head.
Brother, man, let me get you this, because I want everybody to hear.
Cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah, that's another.
Cryptocurrency. That's what this is. This
Yeah.
is so it's gone.
Yeah,
That money's gone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have something that I've been kind of throwing around in my situation. I have 7 children. 5 of them have their own home. One of them has shown that he is not interested in a home, but he lives down in what they call River North.
Mm-hmm. I know where's that.
One of them buildings so high, it take him a week to get up there. So, you know, here's what I was thinking about. And I haven't looked into it, so that's, I thought you might have some information I'm going to look into. What, this,
Reversible mortgage.
I was thinking that, so, you know, there's not even 7 rooms in my house, so I was thinking that I would put my house in a reversible loan and take it's paid for, so take the value, and I could do like, it ain't that much, but I could do like, Walden, what's his name?
A Walmart,
Yeah, I'm talking
no, Walmart frame.
Yeah.
What's it?
Yeah.
Sam Walton. Sam Walton.
Yeah, Sam Walton. In other words, he distributed his wealth while he was still alive.
That's right.
You know?
That's
So I
right.
was thinking those little few pennies that the house is worth, I just sell it and give it to the children while I'm still living so I can see them grin. And then I just pay the note until I die.
Mhm.
And that take care of it.
That's what he meant.
Brother, that you can do that. You absolutely can do that. You can do that.
And then they don't have to pay any tax on it.
That's correct. That's correct. You can do that. That is an avenue.
And see, my wife, my present wife, she's not gonna say, she's just staying here because I'm here. She's going right. She has a home in Arkansas. She's going right back to Arkansas. And it was just too much for me to be driving up here every month.
Mhm.
And so that's why we live here now. But just take that. And I already had plans, everything for everything else. But I thought about the house. I said, with 7 children, what do you do? They wound up arguing over who's going to be in charge of selling it.
Yep.
So
Good point.
I go on and sell it and just go on and give me the money. Now y'all agreeing now, and then you can come to my janaza if you want. Whether you coming or not, you going.
Right. But brother,
It ain't gonna
ma'am.
hurt my feelings if they don't come. My feelings ain't gonna be hurt.
But brother, ma'am, you're absolutely correct. That is an option. I need to switch something on the because my battery went low on that device, so I need to switch the device around. He was talking about a reversible mortgage, and that is an option. A reversible mortgage. There are companies out there that will do it now. You can make sure that it's set up correctly, but what they do is they will purchase your home from you at this fair market value. They'll purchase it from you, and all you pay, I think, is the taxes and there's something else you pay.
And you got to keep it
And
up.
the utilities, yeah, you got to keep it up.
Yeah.
And then whatever then once you pass on, the house passes back to them, whoever gave you the mortgage, right? Then you can use that money while you're here.
Where you want to.
While you're here. My sister has one.
But you lose the value of that land.
Of course.
It's no.
But like you say, it's based
for
on
me to take the value of that land when I get ready to go anyway.
it's based on your situation. I have a sister, my older sister. She has 2 sons. They're all grown. They got their own homes and everything. And she lives in Las Vegas. She has a townhouse. They ain't coming there to get it, And so she set up with a reversible mortgage. And so she got a little pension from her husband. He worked for the post office. She got a pension from her husband. And so that's what. I'm doing 2 things at the same time. So that's what she did. So she's able to manage, and so when she passes on, the house goes to the whoever gave her the mortgage, right? Now this is the key. And now if the sons wanted it, they can still go buy it. They could go buy it. They could just pay off the mortgage. See what I'm saying?
But there is no mortgage though.
Yes, it is. It's a reverse mortgage.
But the house was originally paid off.
Correct.
And so the reverse mortgage allows them to take the money from the house.
Mhm.
And
It's the equity in it. It's reverse because it reverses
so
it.
based on what you pay, just say they do the reversible mortgage for $50,000.
Correct.
You can come back and pay $50,000, get a mortgage for $50,000, and get the house back.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. As long as you pay the mortgage, person who loaned you, pay them back what they got because they're not out of. They got the money back.
Only that they can't exceed the money. They can't say, "Well, we're going to sell it to you for $75,000."
No. Now they can sell it to somebody else for that, but not back to you for that.
Can
Oh,
you
dear.
get out of that?
You can get the only way you get out of it is by paying the money back. You can get out of it, but you got to pay the money back.
Can you buy your way out of it? Oh, but you got to pay it back.
You just got to pay the money.
What if you want to move? Like you want to sell your house?
You
And
ain't
move.
selling. It ain't your house.
It
It ain't your house.
Also ain't yours to sell. So if you leave, you can just leave.
Correct. With a reverse mortgage, but you got to keep it up. You got if you move out of it, you got to have somebody there that keeps it in good shape.
Like you you own a car payment and you want to trade that car in.
No, don't use the car, because it's
Okay.
too different.